Okay, hi everybody. This is Garfield the board game. It was launched in 1981. I feel very fortunate I have a copy in my collection. Once again, I got this at a thrift store. It looks to be very lightly played, and I'll just take a look at what's inside the box. It looks like the only thing that was really actively played here or used is the rule book. Got a little smushed, but it still looks pretty pristine. And this is Garfield, featuring the world-famous comic strip cat. It's for 2 to 4 players, ages 6 to 12. I'm always really fascinated by some of these rule books that say only 6 to 12, thank you very much. We're a little bit more less prescriptive now with games where it's, 9 to 99 or something along those lines. And the object of this game, it's a roll and move game. Once again, like so many 80s, 70s games, roll and move was the king of the mountain then. And the first player to earn 3 rings wins the game. And I'll show you the rings in a moment. So what's really cool about this, of course, is the board. Again, with a roll and move board, it's quite nice. It's quite colorful and well done. One fun fact about me was I was a very active Garfield collector back in the early 80s. Unfortunately, I took a Garfield lunchbox wearing a Garfield t-shirt with Garfield pen toppers on my very first day of grade 5, and unfortunately got the nickname Garfield for basically the rest of my junior high, elementary school, junior high, and high school career. So I've only now rehabilitated on all things Garfield because of the childhood trauma of being called Garfield for most of my young life. It's fine. I'm completely fine and over it. But this is a really nice acquisition. I'm glad to have it. And once again, you've got that 2-sided board. That was the French side, and here is the English side. And again, it's one of the great things about being Canadian, the bilingualism. And this great board is, again, that roll and move board showing the direction. It's a circle. Very, very simple gameplay, which is not the worst thing in the world. I don't mind an easy game, but it's more to have this in my collection given my long history with Garfield stuff. I'll show you a few of the additional components. There are those rings that I mentioned. I have just rebagged everything because it was all kind of loose in the box when I initially got it, but everything looks to be in pretty decent shape. And you can see right here, those are those rings, which is, the prize that you're meant to be winning throughout the game. And if you get to 3, you win the game. Here's a nice little die that it appears to be brown. And I'll just set that to one side. And we've got some player cards here. And they're kind of neat as well. These are sort of loose in the box as well, so I just put them in little baggies. And here's an example of a player card. And then it has things like lasagna, of course. We've got more lasagna. Let's just see if there's any variation here. We've got nap attack, so you have to skip a turn because you're about to go to sleep, and it's just for your turn. Let's just see if there's any other variations here. A lot of lasagna here in this deck. More nap attacks. And a couple of special cards, it appears. Put one over on Garfield right here. And we've got another example. Blindfold Garfield. And in this case, since he can't see you, keep rolling until you roll an odd number on the die. So that's a couple of examples of cards. I'm just going to take a look here. We've got a Garfield card. So there's player cards and Garfield cards in this case, and taking turns. I think you're meant to be... Oh, these are some French cards right here. They're all in French. I'll just show you one other. Here are the Garfield cards, in this case for English. And it's kind of a neat thing to have this. Garfield is right here. And it's actually really nicely made cards that are full color, which is nice to see. And they're actually of a fairly good stock. Not some of the examples that I've seen earlier where they're very, very thin. These are quite substantial. And it says a chance to advance 7 spaces for a piece of lasagna. So you're picking up those pieces of lasagna as you go. Here's another example. I'm such a nice guy. Everyone add 3 to their roll. So that's Garfield's cards. Maybe one more example. Okay, you oddballs, don't move unless you roll odd. So you get stuck until you can roll an odd number on the die. And maybe last one. I've changed my mind. Don't follow the next card, but the one after, discard this one and the next. So, and they're all quite nice, evocative of the full color cartoon strips, which is great. So overall, I feel really, really happy to have this in my collection. It's certainly a big part of my childhood. I was an obsessed fan of Garfield. I had all the books and, of course, all the merch. And that ill-fated day in grade 5 where I decided to completely fit myself out in Garfield attire and merchandise. A terrible tactical error. I was just that enthusiastic about it, but in grade 5 at that point, nobody was taking lunch kits to school. So I became immediately a social pariah, which is kind of interesting when you live in a small town. There's no real coming back from little mishaps like that. Not that I would say that's necessarily a mishap, but there you go. Kids can be mean. But overall, I love Garfield a lot. I enjoy the IP. It is so cool to have this in my collection. And I thought you might appreciate seeing it as well if you're Gen X, like me. This was a huge part of your life as well, that and Far Side. Far Side I used to use as a way to determine whether I thought someone was cool or not if they got Far Side cartoons, and kind of similarly with Garfield. So once again, this was the Garfield board game. Just want to give you a quick look at what's in the box. This one's in a really good, in good repair, and again, super lucky to have it in my collection. Picked it up at a secondhand store, and again, super pleased to have it. And we have not yet played it, but I think I might this holiday season. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.